Welcome to the Spotlight Series. I'm your host, Scott Nerney. We're here from the Coesit Inn, a beautiful restaurant in West Warwick, who also does large parties and events. If you're interested, check out their website. They'd be thrilled to help you. We recently lost a valued member of the Rhode Island Wave family. He was one of the backbones of the paper, typically behind the scenes, working with the advertisers, providing strategic insight for the paper. His name was Steve Perry. We will miss his drive, determination, and humor at the Rhode Island Wave. And Steve, thank you for all you've done to help us become successful and carry on your work and legacy. Today we have a dear friend of Steve's to share some memories of his time together, their time in music together, and his upcoming role in the Rhode Island Wave. Please welcome Ray Gauvin. Welcome to the
Hi,
show.
everybody. How are you doing today? It's a pleasure to be here. My wife and I and Steve and Marilyn used to come here all the time to have dinner. We really appreciated their service, and the food is excellent here as well.
Great. So give us a little background on yourself, Ray.
Well, I started out in music back in 1969. I was in study hall, and a friend of mine asked if I could sing. And I said yes. I get up in study hall, and he started singing Thank You by Led Zeppelin. Well, that evening, I was in their band, rehearsing and doing our first couple of gigs, which was a lot of fun. After that, I decided to keep going in rock and roll, and I've been in many bands since then. I finally had it around 1983. I think I said I had enough. So I went back to school. I got my degree in computer programming. I already had a degree in retail management. And my first job after that was working for BJ's Wholesale Club. I helped open the first store in Medford, and then my role was going to be in Johnston as the club inventory control manager. So that's where I was. I retired from BJ's in 2011. So I had a long run there. They're still using some of the reports that I did way back in the day,
Great.
which is awesome. But anyway, I retired, and I was in a few bands with Steve Perry along the way. And I really liked doing it, so we decided to keep going, and we actually had a couple of bands in the day. One was called the Perry Hill Band, which was a lot of fun, and then we decided to change the name to Stiff Cricket, which didn't work out the way we expected. But anyway, the big band that we both were in was in Taro. Way back in the day, we had Ricky Carr as our manager, and we played the circuit. We bought a Johnson & Wales bus, and we took out the back seats, put a wall up for our equipment, and then we'd get in the other seats and drive to different gigs, which included Maine, Vermont, New Hampshire, Pittsfield, Mass. We went all over the place.
Hot spots.
Yeah, oh yeah. And there was one time that we did, I think it was 25 nights in a row.
Wow.
Because Ricky Carr had us going and going and going. So that was a very good time for the two of us. We actually shared rooms at the hotel, and we were at these different clubs that we played in.
And were you just singing in most of those bands?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I tried to play guitar. Another good friend of mine, Alger Mitchell, who's out there on the circuit on his own right now, and he actually got me to learn how to play guitar, but it didn't work out. My main instrument is my voice.
Sure.
So,
And folks, I'll attest to that. We did a little journey before the show to warm up. He made me sound good. It was fantastic. If it gets into the edited version, my wife will be thrilled. Our crowd is asking us to do it again.
Just a small town girl living in a lonely world. She took the midnight train going anywhere.
See? Yeah,
How's
all
that? You got
right.
it?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's good.
Good take.
Cut.
But
Press.
anyway, like I said, I've known Steve since 1970. When I first met him, he was coming out of a store at the Midland Mall. And I bumped into him, and I said, hey, how you doing? I know who you are. At the time, he was in a band called Whitebird, which was pretty popular at the time. So we exchanged numbers, we talked to each other for a while, and then finally, he came down to a rehearsal for Tarot, and he actually replaced the lead guitar player Christopher Sean, who's in the Room Full of Blues. He replaced him as the bass player, and we had a blast learning all kinds of songs. And we finally got our first gig. Ricky Carl really liked us, and that's all history after that. We played almost every week for at least 4 years, at least 4 or 5 times a week. We were the house, not the house band, but, well, I guess you could say it was the house band at the frat house in North Providence. We were there every Tuesday night for ladies' night, and then every third weekend we would have the weekend too. So, I mean,
And it's not the glamour that people think of now, where a band shows up, all their equipment's in, the lighting is done, everything's been set up. They just do a quick sound check, have dinner, and then they do a show. You guys were lugging gear,
in the beginning we
lights.
were. In
Sure.
the beginning we
Yeah.
were. And then we hired a couple of people to actually set up all the equipment. And all I had to do, and Steve, he walked in with his bass, I walked in with my mic, plugged it in, and we were ready to go.
That's when you know you've made it.
Well, it was a little bit.
Yeah.
But we had a great time together. He was the funniest guy I ever met. Every time we talked, and we talked to each other every day in the past 5 or 6 years, he would have a joke for me. He could imitate Rodney Dangerfield, like you can imagine, with the tie, the whole thing. And he'd always have some kind of a joke for me. Sometimes they were off color, but no, that was Steve. And he had, did you hear this one yet? And he'd tell me what the joke was. We'd have a good time laughing.
And what was the favorite music that you would play?
We loved top 40 rock and roll.
Okay.
Yeah, we
Gets
loved
people-
the Cars, and we loved Kansas. All of those bands. The Beatles, of course. We both loved the Beatles. As a matter of fact, Marilyn gave me I guess it was a cartoon that was done by somebody at the Journal in 2004. But Marilyn thought that I would really like it. So it was Ed Sullivan introducing the Beatles. So she gave me that. I just couldn't believe she gave it to me. But it's awesome. Really nice. Nice picture.
And if you're doing the Beatles, you can't halfway do it. You're all in, because people
Absolutely.
expect it to be crystal clear and
Absolutely.
just like they remembered.
Yeah. Just that the later days with the Beatles, everything became so difficult to do. But in the beginning, all those songs that they did in the beginning were just awesome. Steve was a great singer for like Long Tall Sally and a couple of the other ones that were Twist and Shout was another one he liked to do. But anyway, he was a great musician, a good background singer, a good lead singer, and his bass playing was phenomenal. Really, really good.
It shows dedication when the bass player can be thought of so well that
Yeah,
he's adding to the music rather than just being a backup.
no, that's exactly right. The only problem is I have tinnitus because of him, because I stood in front of his bass amp all those years. But that's okay. I forgive him for that. Yeah.
And I understand you're going to be doing some writing for the Rhode Island Wave.
Yes, I talked about it maybe a couple of years ago with Dina and Steve, and Steve automatically told me, no, you can't do that. But then recently, I talked to Dina about it again, and she thought it would be a good idea. So my wife Stacy and I are going to try and do a column once a month about where are they now, with different bands that from the 60s and 70s and all that. And my suggestion today from my good friend Carl DiStefano was to do it on the Beatles. And I never thought that would be the first band to do, but everybody loves the Beatles. Steve loved the Beatles. So maybe that's what I should do. That's what I'm thinking
And
about.
I think it's a good tribute to him to
Absolutely.
talk about
Absolutely.
how in fact, maybe even a little bit how their music played into your life as well.
Absolutely. As soon
Kind
as
of
I
brought
saw
you
them,
guys together.
we saw them on Ed Sullivan and said, that's it. That's what I want to do. And of course we did that for a long, long time together.
So, Ray, one of the things we typically finish our interviews with is a tribute to James Lipton, who did so many great interviews with celebrities like yourself. So I'll ask you a few questions.
Okay.
First thing that comes to mind, there's no wrong answers.
Okay.
What's your favorite word? What's your favorite word?
Word. Hello. I love saying hello to people.
What sound or noise do you love?
I love the sound of a unbelievable lead guitar.
Okay. If you could do something with zero chance of failure, what would you do?
Maybe I'd like to sky jump sometime.
Nice.
If I fail there, it's all
Yeah, we'll check that 0%. What career would you least like to do?
over. Dentist, I think.
I can see that, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I would like to be a dentist.
And if you could go back in time to talk to your 12-year-old self, what would you tell him?
Buy Apple as soon as it's available.
There's a lot of people that come back with that. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, my God.
All right. Ray, it's been a pleasure having you, sharing some memories.
Yeah.
I really appreciate it. I'm so looking forward to your columns in the Wave. And we'll walk back through a lot of band history over time and
Okay.
get some great inside information from a musician's perspective versus what might be in the news or what Google is looking at. I'm really interested in your fresh ideas as to how you see the bands.
Thank you, Scott.
Thank you very much for coming in.
Steve, you were the best. Miss you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.